Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a topic that is, frankly, pretty chilling, but absolutely fascinating. We're going to unpack the hidden world of female psychopathy, drawing directly on the eye-opening research of Dr. Fiona Girkin.
So I want you to really think about this for a second. Have you ever worked with someone exceptionally charming? Someone you initially just wanted to share all your innermost secrets with, who somehow, almost magically, left absolute chaos, ruined careers, and shattered confidence in their wake? Keep that person in the back of your mind as we evaluate the behaviors we're about to uncover today.
Okay, let's get right into Section 1, the covert predator, subtitle, Beyond the Cinematic Stereotype. When our society thinks of male psychopaths, we immediately recognize overt aggression, right? Physical harm, direct confrontation. We are literally trained to spot it. But the female psychopath? She operates almost entirely through covert aggression. It's all about relational damage. It's so underhanded that they will actively manipulate others into doing their dirty work for them, effectively wiping their own hands clean of any fallout. We completely miss it simply because we don't expect it.
And that brings us to relational aggression. Now, this isn't just your typical high school mean girl behavior. It is a calculated, covert tactic focused on completely destroying a person's social standing, relationships, and reputation using gossip, isolation, and manipulation. Dr. Girkin's research notes that these individuals will literally build a protective posse around themselves. Then, they use this posse to systematically isolate and gaslight anyone in the organization who actually sees through their charming facade.
Moving right along to Section 2, choosing the targets, resources, vengeance, and the empathy trap. So they definitely do not pick their prey at random. They look for an ideal target profile. First up, utility. You might possess a desired resource, like a specific job, a corner office, or even a romantic partner they want. Second, vengeance. If you've interrupted their trajectory or simply refused to comply with them, boom, you become a target. They have this deeply vindictive streak and will tear you down just to prove they can. And third, they actively hunt for the highly empathetic. They're looking for those virtue signalers who naturally want to help a wounded animal.
And this brilliantly illustrates the tactical difference in how predators exploit empathy. We all know the story of how the infamous serial killer Ted Bundy faked a broken arm to lure victims to his car, right? He used a physical trap. Well, the female psychopath uses an emotional trap. She fakes victimhood. She uses weaponized tears to lure your sympathy, extract your secrets, and basically data mine your vulnerabilities. Because, as Dr. Girkin notes, society naturally rushes to comfort a crying woman. It is a highly, highly effective trap. All right, Section 3, the 6 phases, the anatomy of psychological infiltration. I want to walk you through this exact progression because, honestly, it is remarkably consistent. Step 1 is the false narrative, where they invent an exaggerated backstory. Step 2 is the debut performance. They act out this highly likable persona just perfectly. By Step 3, they are the Trojan horse. They present themselves as an absolute gift to the organization, but inside they're just waiting to strike. Step 4 is the Jekyll and Hyde phase, which is an incredibly unsettling period of extreme hot and cold behavior. This pushes everyone into Step 5, fight or flight, where targets are so stressed they either try to formally complain or just run for the hills. And finally, Step 6 is the bad apple phase. The entire organization is left in absolute, irreparable disarray with high turnover and utter chaos.
Now, I want to zero in on that Jekyll and Hyde phase for a minute, because what's happening there is a phenomenon called explosive sadism. This is absolutely crucial to understand. This isn't just someone having a bad mood. It is a deliberate, calculated form of manipulative cruelty where extreme, unpredictable reactions are used to keep a target completely off balance. It's all about puppeteering and controlling the victim through pure fear. In this state, you're no longer trying to earn their praise, you are just desperately trying to avoid their wrath.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, forced complicity and control, the trap of self-betrayal. It always starts with early red flags that we almost universally dismiss. A total inability to self-reflect or take the blame. It's like never their fault, right? They are constantly trashing their previous partners or past workplaces. They have unexplained frequent job hopping on their resume, and they exhibit sheer grandiosity, wildly exaggerating their qualifications. We usually brush these off, telling ourselves, oh, they're just having a bad day. But make no mistake, these are the structural warning signs of a covert predator.
And if you ignore those flags, you might end up in something like the pizza trap.
This is a real anecdote from Dr. Girkin's case files, and it is just mind-blowing. A female psychopath would buy lunch for her office on a corporate credit card she definitely wasn't supposed to use. Why? To force her colleagues into complicity. Once they ate the pizza, they were part of the fraud. They couldn't report her bad behavior without getting themselves in trouble. She literally forced them into self-betrayal to buy their silence.
And the endgame of that self-betrayal is incredibly dark. The source material shares a chilling conversation with a diagnosed predator who explained how she slowly grooms a target to compromise their own relationship morals. The exact moment the victim fully betrays themselves and crosses the line, she loses all interest. She simply says, "Right, now I know you're a piece of crap," and just abandons them. It's not about connection for her. It's a sadistic game to prove you are corruptible.
Let's transition to Section 5, our societal blind spots, why they operate in plain sight.
Now, what is truly staggering about this dynamic is the data. Up to 90% of female psychopaths' targets in the workplace are actually other women. Think about that. This completely shatters the assumption that this is strictly a dynamic of women targeting men. It is often highly competitive, deeply destructive, female-on-female sabotage.
Dr. Girkin's research points out that our culture continually fails to stop these predators because society automatically invents default excuses for toxic female behavior. We see this in the media and the workplace all the time. If a woman behaves terribly, the narrative is so often, well, she had mental health issues, or she's just breaking the glass ceiling, or her husband left her. While men are held strictly accountable as villains for predatory behavior, society provides a buffer of excuses for women, which these covert predators gladly hide behind. The source material also highlights domestic violence rates to really subvert our assumptions. The data shows that the highest rates actually occur within female-female couples, whereas the lowest rates are found in male-male couples. Dr. Girkin uses this to illustrate that abusive, predatory behavior is a human issue for sure, not strictly a male issue.
Furthermore, the research highlights how societal protective measures are actively exploited. The Believe All Women narrative, which was designed to protect the vulnerable, is frequently weaponized by female psychopaths as a get-out-of-jail-free card. They ruthlessly use it to sabotage rivals or take vengeance on ex-partners with false allegations. And the deepest tragedy here? By exploiting this trust, they actively hurt the credibility of actual, real victims in the process.
Which brings us to a final thought, and a question I really want to leave you with today. If the data shows that abusive people simply abuse people, regardless of gender, are we allowing covert predators to thrive simply because we refuse to look past their charming facade? Take a moment to reevaluate your own blind spots and consider what it truly costs when we give someone a pass just because they don't look like the monster we expect. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you next time.